In a faraway galaxy, a big spaceship traveled through the stars. Inside, Captain Mira sat in her command chair, looking at the glowing screens in front of her. She was the leader of a brave crew on a mission to explore new worlds. Today, they were heading to a mysterious planet called Zeta-7, which was rumored to hold amazing secrets. "Captain, we're approaching Zeta-7," said Sam, the navigator. He pointed at the screen showing the planet's surface. It was blue and green with swirling clouds. "The readings are off the charts. There might be advanced technology down there." Mira felt a mix of excitement and fear. This was the chance she had been waiting for. The crew had trained for this moment for months, but she also remembered the warnings from mission control. Many explorers had vanished in this part of space. "Prepare for landing," she ordered, her voice steady. As they descended, the planet grew larger in the windows. Trees, rivers, and strange rock formations came into view. The crew gasped in awe. "Look at that waterfall," shouted Lily, the engineer. "It's huge." But not everyone felt the same joy. "Captain, are you sure about this?" asked Mike, the ship's security officer. "What if it's dangerous? We should turn back." His eyes showed concern, and Mira understood his worry. They were heading into the unknown. "I know the risks, Mike," Mira replied, her tone firm. "But this mission is important for humanity. We might find something that can change everything." The crew nodded, although some still looked uneasy. They landed on a soft patch of ground, surrounded by tall trees. The ship's engines quieted, and silence filled the air. Mira took a deep breath and stood up. "Let's move out. Stay close and keep your eyes open." The crew gathered their equipment and stepped outside. The fresh air smelled sweet and clean. Birds with colorful feathers flew overhead, chirping happily. "It's beautiful here," Lily said, her eyes wide with wonder. "I can't believe we found such a paradise." Mira felt a spark of hope. This was the adventure they had dreamed of. But as they walked, she noticed strange signs on the trees. They looked like symbols, glowing faintly. "What do you think these mean?" she asked, pointing to the markings. "I don't know," Sam replied, scanning the area. "But they don't look natural. We should be careful." The crew nodded, and Mira felt a chill run down her spine. The beauty of the planet began to feel unsettling. As they explored, they came across a large stone structure covered in vines. "This looks like a temple," Mira said, stepping closer. The stones were worn but strong, and the symbols on them matched those on the trees. "There's something important here." "Should we go inside?" Mike asked, his voice tense. Mira hesitated. They had no idea what lay beyond the entrance, but her curiosity was strong. "Let's take a look," she decided, pushing open the heavy door. Inside, the air was cool and dark. They switched on their flashlights, and beams of light danced across the walls, revealing more symbols. "This is incredible," Lily whispered. "I've never seen anything like this before." Mira led the way, her heart racing. They moved deeper into the temple, and suddenly the ground shook. Dust fell from the ceiling, and the crew stumbled. "What was that?" Sam shouted, panic in his voice. "Stay calm," Mira yelled, trying to keep everyone focused. The shaking stopped, but an uneasy feeling settled in the pit of her stomach. "We need to find out what caused that." As they explored further, they found a large room at the center of the temple. In the middle stood a glowing crystal, pulsating with light. "What is that?" Mike asked, stepping back. "It looks dangerous." "It might be the key to the technology we've heard about," Mira said, feeling drawn to the crystal. "But we must be cautious. We don't know its power." She approached slowly, the light reflecting off her face. Suddenly, a loud voice echoed through the room. "Who dares enter my domain?" The crew froze, fear gripping their hearts. Mira turned to see a giant figure appear before them. He was tall, with green skin and glowing eyes. "You are not welcome here." Mira felt a rush of adrenaline. This was Zorak, the guardian of the crystal. "We mean no harm," she shouted, raising her hands to show she was unarmed. "We come in peace." Zorak studied them, his expression fierce but curious. "Peace. Many have come before you, seeking power. What do you seek?" Mira took a deep breath, her mind racing. "We want to learn and understand. We do not wish to take anything from you." Her words hung in the air, full of hope and fear. The tension in the room was thick. Zorak's eyes narrowed, and Mira wondered if they would have to fight for their lives. But she stood tall, determined to protect her crew. "You must understand the risks, don't you?" she said, echoing the unspoken fears that lingered between them. The encounter. The room was filled with silence as Zorak, the giant alien, stood before Mira and her crew. His glowing eyes seemed to see right through them. The air felt heavy with tension. Mira could hear her heart pounding in her chest. "We come in peace," she repeated, hoping to calm the alien warrior. Zorak crossed his massive arms. "Many have said that before you," he rumbled, his voice deep and powerful. "Yet they came only for power and greed. Why should I believe you?" Mira took a step forward, determined to show Zorak they were different. "We are explorers," she said. "We seek knowledge, not conquest. We want to learn about your world and share our own." Zorak's eyes narrowed, studying her. The crew felt the weight of his gaze. Knowledge can be dangerous. It can destroy worlds. His voice was firm, but there was a hint of curiosity in it. "What makes you think you can handle what you find here?" "We have faced danger before," Mira replied, her voice steady. "But we know the importance of friendship and understanding. We believe that by working together, we can achieve great things." For a moment, Zorak remained silent. The room felt like it was holding its breath. Finally, he uncrossed his arms and nodded slightly. "Very well. I will give you a chance. But know this, if you betray my trust, you will face the Guardians." The crew exchanged nervous glances, relieved but still on edge. "Thank you," Mira said, her voice filled with gratitude. "We promise to honor your trust." Zorak gestured for them to follow him. He led them deeper into the temple, where the walls were lined with glowing symbols. "This is the Hall of Ancients," he explained. "Here, we keep the stories and knowledge of my people." As they walked, the light from the symbols illuminated their faces, casting an otherworldly glow around them. The crew marveled at the beautiful designs carved into the stone. Each symbol told a story, depicting the history of Zorak's people. "These stories are sacred," Zorak continued. "They show the strength and wisdom of my ancestors, but they also warn of the dangers of power." Mira felt a connection to Zorak's words. "We understand," she replied. "Humanity has made mistakes too. We have learned that knowledge must be used wisely." Zorak nodded, seeming to appreciate her understanding. As they reached the end of the hall, they entered a large chamber filled with more crystals. Each one sparkled in different colors, creating a dazzling display. "These crystals hold the knowledge of our people," Zorak said. "But only those who prove themselves worthy may access their power." Mira's eyes widened with wonder. "What do we have to do to prove ourselves?" she asked eagerly. Zorak pointed to a large crystal in the center of the room. "To gain access, you must complete a test. It will challenge your mind and heart. Only then will you understand the true meaning of power." The crew looked at each other, excitement mixed with fear. "What kind of test?" Mike asked, his brow furrowed. Zorak's expression grew serious. "You will face your greatest fears. Only by overcoming them can you earn the trust of the Guardians and access the knowledge you seek." Mira felt a chill run down her spine. She knew that facing fears was not easy, but she also understood that this was their chance. "We are ready," she said firmly, looking at her crew. "We will face whatever comes our way." Zorak stepped back, allowing them to gather in a circle around the central crystal. "Focus on the crystal," he instructed. It will bring forth your fears. Do not run from them. Face them with courage. As they concentrated on the crystal, it began to glow brighter. Suddenly, visions swirled around them. Mira found herself standing on a battlefield, surrounded by flames and chaos. She saw her friends in danger, and a feeling of helplessness washed over her. "No," she shouted, trying to push the vision away. But it felt real. She remembered the moments when she had failed to protect those she loved. The fear of losing them gripped her heart. "Captain, we need you." Mike's voice echoed in her mind. It was a call for help, and it filled her with determination. She had to be strong for them. Taking a deep breath, she faced the flames, standing tall against the fear that threatened to consume her. Suddenly, the vision shifted. Now, as she stood in a dark room, feeling alone, doubt whispered in her ear, telling her she wasn't a good leader. "You can't do this," it taunted. But Mira shook her head. She remembered the times she had succeeded and the trust her crew placed in her. "I can do this," she declared, and the darkness began to fade. As her fears vanished, she opened her eyes and saw her crew doing the same. Lily stood firm against her vision of failure, while Sam confronted his fear of being left behind. Each member of the crew faced their own challenges, but they did not falter. When the visions faded completely, the crystal pulsed with light, brighter than ever before. Zorak watched with approval. "You have faced your fears and shown courage," he said. "You have earned the trust of the Guardians." Mira felt a wave of relief wash over her. They had done it together. "Thank you, Zorak," she said, her heart full of gratitude. "We won't let you down." Zorak smiled, a rare expression for someone so fierce. "Now let us access the knowledge of my people." As they approached the central crystal, the air buzzed with energy, and Mira knew their adventure was just beginning. The warning. The room hummed with energy as Mira and her crew stood before the glowing crystal. Zorak watched them with a mixture of pride and caution. "You have faced your fears," he said, "but there is more you must understand before accessing the knowledge." Mira felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. "What do you mean?" she asked, eager to learn more. Zorak took a deep breath, his expression turning serious. "The knowledge held within these crystals is powerful. It can create great wonders, but also great destruction. You must be careful how you use it." Lily stepped forward, curiosity shining in her eyes. "What kind of destruction?" she asked. "What should we be worried about?" Zorak pointed to a mural on the wall, depicting a battle from his people's past. "Long ago, my ancestors discovered a powerful technology that could control the elements: fire, water, earth, and air. At first, it helped our people thrive. But soon, some sought to use it for war. They thought they could control it, but it turned against them." Mira felt a chill as she looked at the images of destruction. "What happened?" she asked softly. "The technology unleashed chaos," Zorak replied, his voice heavy. "Cities were destroyed and lives were lost. It took generations for us to rebuild. The Guardians rose to protect this knowledge and ensure it would not be misused again." Mike, who had been listening closely, frowned. "So the Guardians are not just protectors. They are also a warning," he said. "We need to be careful not to repeat the mistakes of the past." Zorak nodded. "Exactly. You must understand the risks involved in using this knowledge. The Guardians will only allow access to those who prove they can handle it responsibly." Mira looked at her crew, feeling the weight of their mission. "We need to respect their warnings," she said. "We cannot let our ambition blind us. Our goal is to help humanity, not to harm anyone." Zorak's expression softened. "I believe you, Captain. But the Guardians are always watching. If you misuse the knowledge, they will not hesitate to act." With those words hanging in the air, Zorak stepped closer to the crystal. "Now let me show you how to access the knowledge of my people. But remember, with great power comes great responsibility." As Zorak placed his hands on the crystal, it began to glow brighter. Waves of light filled the room. illuminating the walls with colorful patterns. Mira felt a rush of energy flow through her, filling her with warmth and curiosity. Focus on the crystal, Zorak instructed. Let it connect with your minds and hearts. Mira closed her eyes and concentrated. Images flashed before her, cities built from the elements, lush landscapes, and advanced technologies. But alongside these visions, she saw destruction. Fire consuming homes, storms raging uncontrollably, and people suffering. She opened her eyes, shaken. "We must be careful," she said, her voice steady but filled with concern. "We cannot let our greed lead to disaster." Lily and Mike nodded, understanding the gravity of their mission. "We need to set rules for how we use this knowledge," Lily suggested. "If we don't, we could end up causing harm instead of good." Zorak smiled, clearly impressed. "You are wise to think this way. I will help you create a plan to ensure the knowledge is used for the benefit of all. But first, we must retrieve the crystals that hold the information." He led them deeper into the temple, guiding them to a room filled with various crystals, each one pulsing with light. "Choose wisely," he said. "Each crystal holds different knowledge. Some may be more powerful than others." Mira stepped forward and picked up a small blue crystal. It felt cool in her hand, and she sensed a gentle energy radiating from it. "What does this one hold?" she asked. Zorak looked closely at the crystal. "That one holds the knowledge of water and healing. It can be used to purify water and heal wounds. It is a valuable gift for your people." Lily selected a green crystal. "And this one?" she asked. "That holds knowledge of agriculture and growth," Zorak replied. "It can help you grow food and heal the land." Mike reached for a red crystal, but Zorak stopped him. "Be careful with that one," he warned. "The red crystal holds knowledge of fire and destruction. It can be useful but can also lead to chaos if misused." Mike hesitated, but then chose a yellow crystal instead. "I want to learn about energy and light," he said. "It could help us power our ships and cities." As they gathered their crystals, Mira felt a mix of excitement and fear. They had a chance to learn incredible things, but the weight of responsibility pressed down on her. "We need to promise to use this knowledge wisely," she said. "We must work together to ensure it benefits everyone." Zorak nodded, clearly pleased with their commitment. "You have shown great wisdom and courage. I believe you will honor your promise." As they prepared to leave the temple, Mira felt a renewed sense of purpose. They were not just explorers. They were guardians of knowledge now. "Let's make sure we don't let the past repeat itself," she said, her voice strong. "We will use this knowledge to help our worlds, not destroy them." With their crystals in hand, they stepped out of the temple, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The sun shone brightly on the alien landscape, and for the first time, Mira felt a deep connection to this world and its people. The conflict. The journey back to the ship was filled with excitement. Mira and her crew held their crystals tightly, each one buzzing with potential. Zorak walked alongside them, his large presence both comforting and imposing. "You have chosen wisely," he said, glancing at their crystals. "But remember, knowledge is a double-edged sword." As they reached the ship, Mira felt a surge of hope. They had access to incredible information that could change everything for humanity. But as they entered the ship, that hope was met with an unexpected challenge. The control room was filled with alarms blaring and lights flashing. "What's happening?" Mira shouted, rushing to the command console. San was already at the controls, typing frantically. "There's a problem with the ship's systems," he replied, panic evident in his voice. "We're losing power. Something is draining our energy." Lily joined Sam, her hands flying over the buttons. "I'm trying to stabilize it, but we need to find out what's going on." Her brow was furrowed with concentration. Zorak stepped forward, his expression serious. "It could be the crystals. They hold powerful energy, and if not handled correctly, they can disrupt your systems. Then we need to secure them." Mike shouted. "They could be causing the drain." The crew nodded, Realizing the urgency of the situation, Mira quickly instructed everyone to place their crystals in a containment box designed for energy storage. As they secured the crystals, the alarms began to quiet. But then, a loud crash echoed through the ship, and the lights flickered ominously. What was that? Mira yelled, her heart racing. A dark figure emerged from the shadows, standing at the entrance of the control room. It was a group of mercenaries, armed and ready for trouble. Their leader, a tall man with a scar across his face, stepped forward. "You thought you could steal the power of this planet and get away with it," he sneered. Mira's heart sank. They were not prepared for a fight. "We're not here to steal anything," she shouted, trying to keep her voice steady. "We came to learn and share knowledge." The mercenary leader laughed. "Knowledge is power, and we intend to take it for ourselves. Hand over the crystals, or we'll take them by force." His crew raised their weapons, ready for a fight. Mira looked at her crew, seeing the fear in their eyes. They had just begun to understand the power of the crystals, and now they were faced with a threat. "We can't let them take our crystals," she said firmly. "They don't understand how dangerous they are." Zorak stepped forward, his presence imposing. "You will not take anything from these explorers," he said, his voice low and powerful. "They have shown respect for this world, unlike you." The mercenary leader smirked, unfazed by Zorak's warning. "You think you can protect them? We'll take what we want, guardian or not." He signaled to his crew, and they moved closer, weapons raised. Mira felt a surge of adrenaline. "Everyone, to your positions," she shouted. "We'll defend our ship." The crew quickly scrambled to find weapons and prepare for a fight. Mike grabbed a blaster from the wall. "I'll cover the rear," he called, positioning himself by the door. Lily and Sam armed themselves and took up positions on either side of the control panel. Zorak stood tall, ready to fight. "I will not allow these thieves to harm you," he declared, preparing to defend the crew with his own strength. The mercenaries charged forward, and the room erupted into chaos. Mira fought to keep her focus as she ducked behind a console, taking aim with her blaster. "We need to keep them away from the crystals," she shouted. Lily fired at one of the mercenaries, hitting him squarely in the shoulder. He fell back, surprised. "They're not as tough as they think," she called, her confidence growing. But the mercenaries were relentless. The leader pressed forward, aiming for Zorak. "You think you're strong? I'll show you what real power looks like." He lunged at Zorak, but the giant alien dodged, using his strength to knock the man to the ground. Mira saw her chance and shouted, "Now, let's push them back." The crew worked together, coordinating their attacks. They fought with determination, protecting each other and their ship. As the battle raged, Mira spotted the containment box with the crystals. It was still unguarded, and she knew they needed to protect it at all costs. "I'll get the crystals," she called to her crew. "Cover me." With her heart racing, Mira dashed toward the box. A mercenary noticed her and charged, but she quickly fired her blaster, hitting him in the leg. He fell, giving her just enough time to reach the box and secure it. Zorak fought fiercely, taking down 2 more mercenaries with powerful blows. The crew worked as a unit, pushing the attackers back inch by inch. The tide of battle began to turn in their favor. As the last of the mercenaries fell, the leader staggered to his feet, bloody but not defeated. "This isn't over," he spat, glaring at Mira and Zorak. "We'll be back for what's ours." With that, he turned and fled the ship, dragging his injured crew with him. Breathing heavily, Mira and her crew stood in the control room, their hearts still racing from the fight. "Are we safe?" Sam asked, his eyes wide with disbelief. "For now," Zorak replied, his expression serious. "But they will not give up easily. You must be ready for their return." Mira nodded, feeling a mix of relief and determination. "We will prepare," she said. "We can't let them take the crystals or harm this planet. We need to understand the risks and protect what we've discovered." As they began to regroup, Mira looked at her crew, grateful for their bravery. "We've faced danger and come out stronger," she said, her voice steady. "Together, we will protect our mission and the knowledge we've gained." With a renewed sense of purpose, they prepared for whatever challenges lay ahead, knowing that the real conflict was just beginning. The choice. The control room was quiet now, but the tension lingered in the air. Mira and her crew were exhausted after the fight, but they knew they couldn't rest just yet. They had to make a decision about their next steps. Mira stood at the front, looking at the containment box that held the crystals. "We need to discuss what to do with these," she said, her voice steady. "The mercenaries will be back, and we need to be prepared." Lily nodded, her brow furrowed with concern. "But how can we keep them safe? We can't just stay here forever. We need to find a way to use the knowledge we have without putting ourselves in danger." Zorak stepped forward, his towering presence commanding attention. "You face a difficult choice. The knowledge you have gained can change your world, but it also makes you a target. You must decide how to proceed carefully." Mira felt the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. "We could try to communicate with other peaceful groups," she suggested. "If we work together, we might stand a better chance against the mercenaries." Mike crossed his arms, deep in thought. "That could work, but what if they don't understand the risks? What if they want the crystals for themselves?" "Then we must educate them," Sam chimed in. "We can share what we've learned from Zorak and explain the importance of using this knowledge wisely. We can't keep it all to ourselves." Zorak nodded in agreement. "Knowledge must be shared, but it must also be respected. You must establish a council of leaders who understand the risks and responsibilities." Mira's heart raced with excitement at the idea. Yes, a council to ensure that the knowledge is used for the good of everyone. But who should we invite? Lily raised her hand. "What about the leaders from Earth? They have dealt with conflicts before. They could help us create a plan." Mira thought for a moment. "That makes sense. We can reach out to them through our communication systems. But first, we must secure the crystals and make sure they don't fall into the wrong hands again." Zorak looked concerned. "You cannot stay here. The mercenaries will come back for the crystals, and they will not give up easily. You must move to a safer location." "Where do we go?" Mike asked, glancing around the room. "We can't just wander aimlessly." Mira took a deep breath, trying to think clearly. "What if we head to one of the remote areas on the planet? Zorak, do you know of any safe locations?" Zorak nodded slowly. "There is a cave system not far from here. It is well hidden and protected by the mountains. You can store the crystals there until you are ready to make your next move." "That sounds perfect," Lily said, her eyes lighting up with hope. "We can set up a temporary base there and prepare for the council." Mira felt a wave of determination wash over her. "Then it's settled. We'll move the crystals and set up a safe place to plan our next steps." The crew worked quickly to gather their things and prepare the ship for departure. They loaded the containment box carefully, ensuring the crystals were secure. Zorak stood by, offering his strength to help them move the box. As they lifted the box onto the ship, Mira felt a sense of urgency. "We need to be quick. The mercenaries could return at any moment," she reminded them. With everything in place, they launched the ship into the sky. The landscape of the alien planet spread out below them, a vibrant mix of colors and shades. Mira gazed out the window, feeling both awe and fear. "Zorak, how do we know the mercenaries won't find us?" she asked, her voice filled with concern. "They may try to follow you," Zorak replied. "But if you move quickly and choose your route carefully, you should be able to evade them. Trust in your instincts and do not hesitate to make changes to your plans." As they flew toward the cave system, Mira's mind raced with thoughts of the council. What if the leaders didn't understand the risks? What if they didn't agree on how to use the knowledge? She felt a knot of worry in her stomach. When they finally reached the cave, it was just as Zorak had described. Dark and hidden, with rocky walls that shielded them from view. They parked the ship inside and unloaded the containment box. Once everything was secure, Mira gathered her crew. "We need to establish clear rules about how we will use the knowledge," she began. "We cannot let anyone use it for personal gain or power." Lily nodded. "I agree. We should create a charter that outlines our goals and responsibilities. Everyone must understand the consequences of misuse." Mike raised an eyebrow. "And what if someone doesn't agree? How do we handle that?" Mira thought for a moment. "We'll have to make it clear that anyone who threatens the safety of others will be removed from the council. We have to be united in our mission." Zorak watched them closely, a look of approval on his face. "You are wise to consider these matters. It will take courage and strength to stand together against those who seek to misuse the knowledge." As they began to discuss the details of their charter, Mira felt a sense of hope. They were building something important, a way to ensure that the knowledge they had gained would be used for good. But deep down, she knew that their choices would not be easy. The conflict with the mercenaries was far from over, and they would need to be ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. "Together, we can make the right choices," Mira said, her voice firm. "We will protect this knowledge and use it to create a better future for everyone." With a renewed sense of purpose, they set to work on their plans, knowing that the choices they made would shape the destiny of their worlds. The resolution. Days passed in the hidden cave, and Mira and her crew worked hard to prepare for the upcoming council. They spent hours discussing their charter, ensuring that every detail was clear and focused on the responsible use of the knowledge they had gained. Zorak guided them, sharing wisdom from his own people's past. One evening, as they gathered around a small fire in the cave, Mira looked at her crew. "We've made a lot of progress, but I still worry about the mercenaries," she said, her voice steady but tinged with concern. "What if they come for us again?" Lily poked the fire, sending a flare of sparks into the air. "We have to be ready. We should set up defenses around the entrance. If they come, we can protect ourselves and the crystals." Mike nodded in agreement. "I can rig up some traps outside the cave. Nothing too dangerous, but enough to slow them down." Zorak smiled, proud of their determination. "You are becoming true guardians of this knowledge. But remember, your strength lies in unity. If you face the mercenaries, do so together." Mira felt a sense of purpose wash over her. "We will defend what we've learned. Together, we can face any threat." As they continued to prepare, Mira also reached out to Earth's leaders using the communication system on their ship. She explained their mission and the knowledge they had acquired, emphasizing the importance of responsible use. To her relief, the response came quickly. A council of leaders agreed to join them, recognizing the potential of the knowledge, but also the risks involved. They planned to meet at the cave in 2 days. When the day of the meeting arrived, Mira felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. The cave was filled with the sounds of their preparations. Zorak helped set up a space where everyone could gather comfortably. Finally, as the sun began to rise, the leaders from Earth arrived. They entered the cave, looking around with curiosity and respect. Mira welcomed them warmly. "Thank you for coming. We have much to discuss." The leaders nodded, some looking anxious about what lay ahead. As they settled in, Mira took a deep breath. "We have gathered here to ensure the safe use of the knowledge we discovered. It is our responsibility to protect it from those who wish to misuse it." One of the Earth leaders, a woman named Dr. Kim, stepped forward. "We understand the importance of what you found. We must create a plan that respects this knowledge and prevents it from falling into the wrong hands." Mira glanced at her crew, feeling their support. "We've created a charter outlining our goals. We believe it's crucial to establish rules that everyone must follow." As Mira explained the charter, she saw the leaders nodding in agreement. "We must prioritize education," she continued. "Everyone involved must understand the risks. The knowledge can create wonders, but it can also bring destruction." Dr. Kim spoke up again. "I agree. We need to form an alliance between our worlds, ensuring that we share this knowledge only with those who will respect it. The discussion grew more intense as they shared ideas. They talked about how to spread the knowledge safely, how to build a network of support, and how to stand together against threats like the mercenaries. Suddenly, a loud noise echoed from the cave entrance. Mira's heart raced. What was that? She whispered, turning to Zorak, who immediately tensed. Stay calm, Zorak said, his voice steady. We must see what it is. Mira led the way to the entrance, her crew and the leaders following closely behind. As they peered outside, they saw a group of mercenaries approaching, weapons drawn. There they are, Mike shouted, gripping his blaster tightly. They found us. Everyone, to your positions, Mira commanded, her voice strong. We need to protect the crystals and ourselves. Zorak moved to the front, ready to face the attackers. Let me handle this. You must protect the knowledge. The mercenary leader stepped forward, a wicked grin on his face. You thought you could hide. Hand over the crystals, and no one will get hurt. Mira took a deep breath, trying to remain calm. We will not give you anything. This knowledge belongs to all of us, and we will protect it. The leader laughed, drawing his weapon. Then prepare for a fight. As the mercenaries charged, Mira felt a surge of determination. Stay together, she shouted. We can do this. The battle began, and Mira's crew fought bravely alongside Zorak. They worked as a team, using the defenses they had set up to slow down the mercenaries. The sound of blasters and shouts filled the air. Mira moved quickly, supporting her crew and helping wherever she could. She saw Lily and Mike working together, covering each other's backs as they fired at the approaching enemies. Zorak stood strong, defending the entrance and keeping the mercenary leader at bay. The tide of battle seemed to turn in their favor as they pushed the mercenaries back. But just as victory seemed close, the leader of the mercenaries shouted for his crew to regroup. We're not done yet. We'll take what's ours. Mira realized they needed to act fast. We have to end this now, she yelled. If we don't, they'll come back with even more force. With a determined look in her eyes, she rallied her crew and the Earth leaders. We must work together to show them we won't back down. Let's push them out once and for all. With their hearts set on victory, they charged forward, working as one unit. Mira felt a wave of strength and confidence as they fought together, driven by their shared purpose. Finally, after a fierce battle, the mercenaries retreated, realizing they could not overcome the united front. As they fled, the mercenary leader glared back, promising to return. This isn't over, he shouted before disappearing into the distance. Breathing heavily, Mira and her crew stood victorious. They had defended the knowledge and protected their mission. The leaders from Earth looked at them with admiration. Mira smiled, her heart swelling with pride. We did it, she said, her voice filled with emotion. Together, we can achieve great things. We have protected what is important and shown that we will not back down. Zorak stepped forward, his expression serious but proud. You have proven yourselves as guardians. Now you must continue to work together to ensure the knowledge is used wisely and safely. As they gathered to celebrate their victory, Mira felt a deep sense of purpose. They had faced conflict, but they had emerged stronger, united in their mission. The journey ahead would not be easy, but she knew they were ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. The future. After the battle, the atmosphere in the cave shifted from tension to hope. Mira and her crew, along with the Earth leaders, gathered around the fire to discuss their next steps. The flickering light illuminated their tired but determined faces. Mira looked around at everyone. We've faced a lot together, but this is just the beginning. We need to build on what we've accomplished and prepare for the future. Dr. Kim nodded, her expression serious. You're right, Mira. The mercenaries will likely regroup and try to come after us again. We need to strengthen our defenses and expand our network. Lily raised her hand. What if we create communication lines between our worlds? We could keep everyone updated on any threats and share the knowledge we've learned about the crystals. That's a great idea, Mike said enthusiastically. We could even set up training sessions to teach others how to use the knowledge safely. Zorak smiled, his deep voice resonating in the cave. Education is the key to preventing misuse. You must share your knowledge wisely. It is the only way to protect it from those who wish to exploit it. Mira felt a surge of inspiration. We should create a council that includes representatives from both Earth and our new allies here. This way, everyone has a voice in the decisions we make. The leaders nodded in agreement, and a sense of unity filled the cave. They began brainstorming ideas for their new council, discussing who should be included and how they would function. As they shared their thoughts, Mira felt a growing excitement about the possibilities ahead. After a few hours of planning, they decided to form a committee to draft a more detailed proposal for the council. It would include rules for cooperation, guidelines for sharing knowledge, and strategies for defense. As the night wore on, Mira reflected on how far they had come. Just days ago, they had been hiding from the mercenaries, unsure of their future. Now, they were building something important, a chance to create a better tomorrow. In the following weeks, they worked tirelessly. Mira and her crew helped set up communication channels with Earth, allowing them to share updates and gather support. They organized training sessions to teach others about the crystals and the responsibilities that came with them. The response from Earth was overwhelmingly positive. Many leaders expressed their willingness to join the council, eager to collaborate and share knowledge. Mira felt a sense of pride as their community grew, uniting people from different worlds. Zorak continued to support them, sharing stories from his own people's past. He emphasized the importance of understanding the balance between knowledge and responsibility. You must always remember that knowledge is a powerful tool, he told them. Use it wisely, and it will lead you to greatness. As their council took shape, they held meetings to discuss pressing issues, including defense strategies against the mercenaries. The group worked hard to fortify their location, creating traps and defensive structures around the cave entrance. Mira felt a growing sense of purpose with each passing day. They were no longer just a small group hiding in fear. They were a united force, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. But as they worked toward their goals, Mira still felt a lingering concern about the mercenaries. She knew they would not simply give up. We need to stay vigilant, she reminded her crew during a meeting. They will come for the crystals again. We must be prepared. As if to confirm her fears, one day, a message came through their communication system. A hologram of the mercenary leader appeared, his expression filled with anger. You think you can hide forever? I will gather my forces, and we will take what is ours. Mira stood tall, meeting his gaze with determination. You will not succeed. We are stronger together, and we will protect what is rightfully ours. The hologram flickered and vanished, but the tension lingered. Mira turned to her crew, knowing they had to act fast. We need to alert everyone in our network. If they plan to attack, we must be ready to defend ourselves. In the following days, Mira and her team spread the word, calling for all allies to come together. They prepared for the worst, knowing that the mercenaries could strike at any moment. They held training sessions to ensure everyone knew their roles and responsibilities. Finally, the day of the expected attack arrived. Mira stood at the entrance of the cave, looking out at the horizon. She felt a mixture of fear and excitement. This was their moment to prove their strength. As the sun rose, the sound of approaching ships echoed in the distance. Mira turned to her crew and the council members, their faces set with determination. This is it. Remember our training. Stay together and support one another. The mercenaries descended upon them, and the battle began. Mira fought alongside her crew, using the knowledge they had gained to outsmart their attackers. They worked as a team, covering each other and setting traps as they had practiced. Zorak fought bravely, defending the crystals and encouraging everyone to stay focused. The Earth leaders rallied their people, calling for unity and strength. As the battle raged on, it became clear that their preparation was paying off. Slowly but surely, they pushed the mercenaries back, refusing to let fear dictate their actions. They fought for their future and for the knowledge they had worked so hard to protect. Finally, as the last of the mercenaries retreated, a wave of relief washed over Mira. They had defended their home and protected the knowledge that could change their worlds. She looked around at her crew and the leaders from Earth, and a smile broke across her face. "We did it," she shouted, her voice filled with joy. "Together, we stood strong." As they celebrated their victory, Mira felt a deep sense of hope. They had faced challenges, but they had emerged stronger and more united. The future was bright, and they were ready to embrace it together. From that day forward, they committed to protecting their knowledge and building a better future for everyone. With each new day, they worked to ensure that the lessons learned would guide them on their journey ahead. Mira knew they were just beginning a new chapter, one filled with endless possibilities. Together, they would shape a future where knowledge was shared responsibly, where peace prevailed, and where unity would always triumph over division.